Chapter 34. The Atheism of the Early Church. Because we tend to project the present onto the past, we too often view the conflict of Rome with Christianity as a persecution of religion. As we have seen, Rome's concern was that all religions should be licit or licensed and controlled. As long as the religion was not subversive of Caesar's authority and power, Rome was only incidentally concerned with the content of the new religion. Christianity was charged with being an atheistic cult, and Rome hated atheism as a subversive force. The readiness of Rome to believe that Christians were guilty of incest and cannibalism was due to its conviction that atheists are capable of anything. Eusebius, in his Church History, Book 5, gives us an account of the persecution of Christians in Lyon. Earlier, the Jews had been accused of atheism. Now the Christians were the main targets. Justin Martyr said that Christians were called atheists because they arrayed themselves in opposition to the demonic forces of their day and against its moral corruption. The Christians held the gods of the pagans to be wicked and impious demons. Justin added, quote, "And we confess that we are atheists so far as gods of this sort are concerned, but not with respect to the most true God, the Father of righteousness and temperance and other virtues, who is free from all impurity." End quote. Justin spoke out sharply against the cynic Crescens, who had accused the Christians of atheism. Quote, "I too therefore expect to be plotted against and fixed to the stake by some of those I have named, or perhaps by Crescens, that lover of bravado and boasting, for the man is not worthy of the name of philosopher who publicly bears witness against us in matters which he does not understand, saying that the Christians are atheists and impious, and doing so to win favour with the deluded mob and to please them. For if he assaults us without having read the teachings of Christ, he is thoroughly depraved, far worse than the illiterate, who often refrain from discussing or bearing false witness about matters they do not understand. Or if he has read them and does not understand the majesty that is in them, or understanding it, acts thus that he may not be suspected of being such a Christian, he is far more base and thoroughly depraved, being conquered by illiberal and unreasonable opinion and fear." End quote. We have here two important points to pass over quickly. A cynic philosopher is the last one most people today would expect to accuse Christians of impiety and atheism. What did these terms mean to Crescens and to men of his day? Piety meant, above all else, a respectable submission to statist authority. A pious Roman was a man devoted to and obedient always to the Roman state. Christians felt that theirs was a truer and higher piety, but to Romans they were indeed impious, and to the Greeks as well. Clement of Alexandria sought to show that the only real Gnostic is the Christian who, quote, "alone is truly pious," end quote. Of the charge of atheism, he declared, quote, "He then, who is persuaded that God is omnipotent and has learned the divine mysteries from his only begotten Son, how can he be an atheist, atheos? For he is an atheist who thinks that God does not exist, and he is superstitious who dreads the demons, who deifies all things, both wood and stone, and reduces to bondage spirit and man who possesses the life of reason." End quote. Clement identifies atheism to give it a Christian content, which it did not previously have. What then was atheism to the Greeks and Romans? We find the key to this in Eusebius, as he gives us the record of an interrogation by Aemilianus, the deputy prefect of a group of Christians. One of the Christians, Dionysius, reported the matter in a letter to Hermamon. Quote, "Dionysius, Faustus, Maximus, Marcellus, and Chaeremon, being arraigned by Aemilianus the prefect, said, quote, I have reasoned verbally with you concerning the clemency which our rulers have shown to you, for they have given you the opportunity to save yourselves if you will turn to that which is according to nature, and worship the gods that preserve their empire, and forget those that are contrary to nature, what then do you say to this? I do not think that you will be ungrateful for their kindness, since they would turn you to a better course. End quote. Dionysius replied, quote, Not all people worship all gods, but each one those whom he approves. We therefore reverence and worship the one God, the maker of all, who hath given the empire to the divinely favoured and august Valerian and Galenius, and we pray to him continually for their empire, that it may remain unshaken. End quote. Aemilianus the prefect said to them, quote, But who forbids you to worship him, if he is a god together with those who are gods by nature? For ye have been commanded to reverence the gods, and the gods whom all know. End quote. Dionysius answered, We worship no other. Aemilianus the prefect said to them, I see that you are at once ungrateful and insensible to the kindness of our sovereigns, wherefore ye shall not remain in the city, but ye shall be sent to a place called Sephro. For I have chosen this place at the command of our sovereigns, and it shall by no means be permitted you or any others either to hold assemblies or to enter into the so-called cemeteries. But if anyone shall be seen without the place which I have commanded, or be found in any assembly, he will bring peril on himself, for suitable punishment shall not fail. Go, therefore, where ye have been ordered. End quote. End quote. We see here clearly the totalitarian mentality. Aemilianus feels that he is being gracious in allowing the Christians to submit to his demands, and he calls them, quote, ungrateful, end quote, for persisting in their faith. More important, Aemilianus tells us what atheism meant to Rome. It was the refusal to worship the gods of nature, that is, natural forces. The Christian idea of God was, quote, contrary to nature, end quote. We come now to the focal point. For paganism, divinity was a power inherent in nature, which manifested itself in great men, in heroes, but supremely in the state. In the state, men and the gods realized themselves. A stateless man was no man at all, and a stateless god was a contradiction in terms. Power came to focus in the state, and the idea of a god divorced from and transcendental to the human order was anathema. All the pagan cults which infiltrated Rome, such as Mithraism, were cults in search of a state. Christianity, by declaring the triune God to be totally separate from the state and totally over it in authority, was atheistic. It was denying the state and its gods. Christianity made the triune God the source of all power, authority, and legitimacy, whereas Rome maintained that it alone made the gods legitimate because power and authority belonged to Rome. Rome thus recognized the supernatural God of Christianity as the enemy of its foundations and its power. We have today a like conflict. The modern humanistic state, while not using the same term, regards Christians as in effect atheists because they believe in a supernatural God, whom quote-unquote scientists regard as non-existent and a superstition. John Dewey, in A Common Faith, echoed Aemilianus's hostility to Christianity as an enemy of a true naturalistic social order. The authority of the state as the ultimate natural order is undermined by the Christian faith. Crescens and others in the Roman Empire were not ignorant of the contents of the Bible. For them, the only moral force tenable for man was the fear of the state. If man were placed instead under the rule of a remote and unseen God, what would then restrain man from incest and cannibalism? So reasoned the Romans and Greeks. For them, thus, the church was the enemy of man, of social order, of the state, of morality, and of the gods. They called it atheism.